Welcome to The Explainer. So, have you ever left a party, a networking event, or, I don't know, even just a casual group dinner, feeling strangely drained? And I don't mean tired from staying up late, but mentally exhausted. Like you spent the whole night dodging the subtle brags of a one-upper or desperately trying to interject into someone's endless monologue? Well, today we're decoding the hidden psychological games played at everyday social gatherings. We're going to draw on some fascinating psychological models to literally expose the invisible architecture of your social life.
So we really have to ask a somewhat uncomfortable question right off the bat. When we gather in groups, are we really just having fun, or are these social interactions actually highly structured arenas for status competition? We like to think that when we get together with friends or colleagues, we're just relaxing, kicking back. But the underlying mechanics suggest something entirely different is happening right beneath the surface of the guacamole and small talk.
To really understand this, we need to define exactly what we mean by party games. And to be clear, we are not talking about charades or Pictionary here. We're talking about structured social behaviors operating in group settings. This is where individuals unconsciously play specific roles to gain attention, status, or emotional validation, and it's all safely hidden under the cover of social entertainment. Unlike private one-on-one interactions, these party games are distinctly public. The roles shift rapidly, and the stakes, well, they're heavily amplified by group dynamics. It's socially masked as mere fun or polite conversation, but the engine actually driving it is much, much more complex.
Section 1. The reveal. The group attention economy.
Now, if you really want to understand group behavior, you have to look at a party as a strict, localized economy where the limited, highly coveted currency isn't money, it's human attention. We like to think we're simply engaging in authentic expression, right? Just being ourselves, sharing our genuine thoughts and feelings. But in reality, we're often locked in an attention competition. In groups, people aren't always expressing their true vulnerable selves at all. Instead, they're actively competing for emotional and social visibility to avoid the ultimate penalty, which is exclusion. Group environments don't eliminate these psychological games. They actually accelerate and multiply them simply because the audience is bigger and the attention is scarce. So, the absolutely crucial point here is that power within this group economy belongs to whoever controls the attention flow and the emotional tone of the room. But how exactly do they do it? Well, they use specific control mechanisms. It might be humor dominance. That one person using rapid-fire jokes to hold the floor. Or storytelling control, where someone launches into a massive 10-minute theatrical saga that basically commands everyone's gaze. There's also subtle teasing or humiliation, which is a darker tactic to knock a competitor off balance. Or simply deliberately shifting the group focus, basically changing the subject the second someone else gains too much visibility. Whoever wields these tools, while they essentially dictate the hierarchy of the entire gathering.
Section 2. The escalation, psychological loops, and roles.
Knowing that attention is the absolute currency, people begin to adopt these exaggerated performance identities just to secure their piece of the pie. They almost become caricatures of themselves because the group system actively rewards novelty, dominance, and charisma. And this escalation happens in a really predictable feedback loop. Step 1, attention is gained, maybe through a quick joke or a really strong opinion. Step 2, that attention provides a massive emotional reward, which reinforces the behavior. The brain literally says, hey, that worked, do it again. And then step 3, the social identity hardens. The group assigns you a role. You become the funny one, the serious one, or the quiet one, and you just adapt to fit that mold for the rest of the night. It's crazy, but a simple, well-timed laugh can literally trap you into a rigid social role for the entire evening, just to minimize your social risk while maximizing visibility.
What is truly fascinating, though, is the psychological underlayer driving these roles. We call this ego state activation. When competing for attention, people rarely stay in a neutral, objective state. Instead, competitors often shift into the child state. They start acting overly playful, rebellious, or loud just to draw eyes. Think of that guy who inexplicably pulls out an acoustic guitar in the middle of a cocktail party. Or, on the flip side, they shift into the parent state, adopting a tone of teasing authority, offering unsolicited advice, or judging others to establish dominance. This right here is why parties can feel so chaotic. The whole dynamic actively prevents rational adult-to-adult communication in favor of playful dominance or authoritative teasing.
Section 3. The broadening. Beyond the party.
Okay, let's pull the camera way back for a second. Because once you understand this multi-agent attention system, you start to realize it shapes major global systems far beyond a weekend dinner party. This dynamic is a universal human vulnerability. Let's look at financial trading.
We see social trading, where attention bias completely replaces rational analysis because people just automatically copy the high attention, highly visible traders. In chess, there's the flashy move syndrome, where players prioritize a spectacular, attention-grabbing move over the fundamentally correct one. In cybersecurity, attackers use social engineering within groups to exploit attention dispersion, easily blending right into the chaotic flow of focus. And in politics and the military, public rhetoric battles become pure attention dominance contests, where perception management and spectacle entirely overwrite actual substance. It's all the exact same underlying party game.
Section 4. System failures and counter strategies. So, what exactly happens when it all goes wrong? When dominance games completely replace genuine human connection, the party becomes totally dysfunctional. But listen, you aren't helpless here. You can actually defend yourself and restore meaningful exchange by using a few key control logics. First up, recognize the manipulation patterns early. Spot the person controlling the storytelling or using subtle humiliation. Second, consciously avoid automatic role adoption. Don't just become the listener or the joker just because the group pushes you there. Third, actively shift the interaction away from performance and back to grounded adult-to-adult communication by asking genuine questions. And finally, detach your self-worth from the group's attention feedback loop. You really do not need the room's gaze to validate your existence.
Section 5. The modern reality check. Now, before we just write off all socializing as some cynical Machiavellian power struggle, modern psychology actually provides a critical correction to this framework. As noted right here, group interaction is a mix of cooperation, signaling, and competition. It's not purely psychological games. This acknowledges that while these attention economies absolutely exist, they aren't inherently bad. In fact, many of these party games are actually highly adaptive, totally healthy bonding mechanisms. We playfully tease to show affection, right? We tell stories to share our culture. The big blind spot of seeing absolutely everything as a malicious game is that it completely underestimates genuine, spontaneous social bonding.
So the key distinction isn't whether attention competition exists, because let's face it, it always will. The real question is how it's being used. I want to leave you with this thought to evaluate your own workplace, your friend group, or even the social media ecosystems you participate in. Does your group's attention competition actually enhance social cohesion, bringing people closer together through shared play? Or does it distort authentic communication, basically trapping you in a performance? Pay close attention the next time you step into a crowded room. You might just see the hidden game being played right in front of you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.